Hey, what's up guys? Today we're just going to be doing a comparison video on the Glock 43X and Palmetto State Armory's micro dagger. So I'm going to start off with the infamous Glock brand, right? Of course we have Glock 43X, and this is a 9mm, not quite a single stack, but close to it. So the Glock 43X has been a sought after model for quite some time for a lot of people. Because it really fits the bill for a lot of things, and I've said it before, but the Glock 43X is somewhat of a Goldilocks gun. At least it was when I made that video. I know a lot of guns that came out since then that are in this lineup. The Glock 43X holds 10 rounds, but it's touted for being pretty lightweight and very concealable, and I think it's very manageable to shoot, especially for its size. So Palmetto State Armory came out with a clone of the Glock 19 and called it a PSA Dagger, Palmetto State Armory Dagger. And that was pretty cool. It basically cloned a Glock 19 Gen 3, and it had a lot of sweet features. I made a video on that back a little while ago. And it's been some time, but they've also came out with the micro dagger, which is a Glock 43X, more or less. But it's very competitive. It's competitive for price point, first of all, so it's significantly more affordable. But it's also super competitive because it has 15-round magazines. That's a big deal because it's literally the same size as the Glock 43X magazines. And a matter of fact, they seem to be pretty interchangeable. But as always, Palmetto State Armory likes to push the envelope a little bit and has given us some extra features that the Glock 43X didn't have. So first and foremost, the Glock 43X, at least this version, did not have a Picatinny rail, and it was not MOS. So for anyone that was looking to upgrade their Glock 43X to maybe hold a light and a red dot, it just makes sense to get the micro dagger because it has all the features that you would want plus some. So some quick things that I start to notice on the Palmetto State Armory dagger as opposed to the Glock 43X is that Palmetto State Armory already included Picatinny rails, and this is a cut for a red dot. Now, I know that Glock now does this with the 43X, but my model did not come with that. So for me to upgrade to a micro dagger would make a lot of sense. I will say that the sights seem to be steel and not the typical Glock sights that you would get that are plastic. Now these have been replaced, of course, but nonetheless, it still gives you at least a better sight from the factory than I would consider Glock to be. Another pretty cool thing that Palmetto State Armory has done is they've replaced the trigger. Now, I'm not a big fan of the hugginess of this trigger. However, I will say that it breaks a little bit cleaner than the Glock 43X's. One thing I've noticed too is that they've also beveled out the front of the gun a little bit, and I guess it's pretty cool for reholstering. It's not a super big deal, but Glock's been doing that to an extent for their 43X's. So it's not something that's necessarily new, but I will say that it just has cleaner cuts. I think that the micro dagger, it just has a little bit more to it than the Glock 43X was, especially for the price point. Something else to take into consideration is you'll see here, like the magwell model, it's not necessarily flared, it has some indentation so that you can pull that mag out a whole lot better than you could for a Glock, which I think it's a big deal. I think that's something that Glock really overlooked. Their Gen 5 Glocks seem to be a little better for that, at least because they have a somewhat of a lip. Understanding that this is a concealed carry gun, I can see why Glock didn't go that route. But nonetheless, Palmetto State Armory has came in with that. The stippling is a little bit different. I think the grip angle is pretty much the same. I think most of this is the same. As far as holster compatibility, the micro dagger doesn't exactly fit into a 43X holster, and I think that has to do with the trigger guard. That's not a big deal. I don't know how many companies are making holsters for these micro daggers. However, it's not too much of an issue for me to make a holster for this micro dagger. Not only does the micro dagger have magazine compatibility, but believe it or not, the micro dagger has a slide that's very similar to the 43X, if not the same, because it goes on top of the 43X. which I think is really cool, especially if you were considering buying a slide for the micro dagger and just throwing in a 43X, you could. But as cheap as the micro dagger is, you could probably just get a micro dagger and not look back. But nonetheless, the micro dagger is very similar to the 43X. So as far as price point goes, a micro dagger on Palmetto State Armory's site, and this is July of 2024, costs about $340. That is significantly cheaper than our counterpart. I would tell you that Palmetto State Armory is always running sales, and I would definitely look out for those. But I would say, as for about Palmetto State Armory goes, this is a big win. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching the video, and just to throw this in here as well. But if you're looking for a holster for a Palmetto State Armory micro dagger, I made one here, and it's pretty slick. Pretty same deal. Like I said, it doesn't fit the Glock 43X holster at all, really. So if you're interested, just check out the website. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.